Good evening and welcome to tonight's show. I am your host, Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs, and it is truly an honor to be before you this evening. You have to excuse me today. I'm a little hoarse from sinuses, so please pray for me and bear with me. Before we get started, we want to send our well wishes and prayers to news anchor Javita Moore from Channel 2 News. Don't know if you have heard, but doctors had did a test and saw two masses in her brain. So she is at home recovering, and we just want to send our prayers and well wishes to Channel 2 News anchor Javita Moore. Also on yesterday, most of us sat in front of the TV and held our breath as the jurors read the verdict for the George Floyd trial against police officer Derek Chauvin. He was found guilty on all three counts, and our prayers go out to George Floyd's family and the countless number of families that are still waiting justice for the death of their loved ones by the hands of police. The last thing I want to say is today is Administrative Professionals Day. So I want to say happy Admin Day to all the admins out there. I have been one for probably over 30 years. So I do understand how crucial your role is to the companies that you serve. So I want to say happy Administrative Professionals Day. All right. I am so excited to introduce tonight's guest to you. This young lady has a remarkable testimony. And the road of self discovery is one that's hard. And it takes you being able to connect with yourself in a way that can be, I can say, terrifying to some people. But she did it. And she went on her road of self-discovery. And the road of self-discovery is one that you're always on, right? It never stops. You never stop learning about yourself. But this young lady is awesome. And I am just so thankful that she said yes to come on to tonight's show to share her journey. Help me give a warm welcome to Miss Katrina Owens.
Hi, everybody. Hey.
How are you, Katrina?
I'm fabulous. Thank you for having me.
You look so beautiful as always.
Thank
Stylish.
you. I brought a little bit of sunshine to y'all.
Well, I need it today because I'm not feeling too well today. So thank you for the sunshine and rainbows.
No problem. No problem.
Katrina, thank you so much for saying yes. I just cannot wait to dive into this interview. I have my pencil and my pad ready because I know you are going to give me some nuggets to share. You're going to share some nuggets with us tonight. So thank you again. How's the family before we start?
The boys are doing well. I had a rough night, I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
Listen here. When sinuses go through the family, it hits one and then it hits the next. So I was up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning with the youngest, but he's good now. He's running around.
Good. He's running. Oh, look, I think he's to me.
Right, yes, right. And I'm up here almost, this is me sleepwalking all day. But he's good. He's fine. Thanks for asking.
Yes, I think both of us are going to crash after this show.
Absolutely. I am.
Well, good. Give them a big kiss and hug. Give them both a big kiss and hug for me.
I will do.
Okay, so we're going to start off tonight with you just telling us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first and foremost, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. So I'm a transplant, as many of us are. And I moved here, 2007. So I'm gonna say I have fully assimilated to Atlanta living. So I am a peach. I'm a transplanted peach. That's what I like to call myself.
I am too.
Right. So I went to Wilberforce University, which is a HBCU. It was established in 1856. That's where I studied my Bachelor's of Science in Marketing. And that's where I also pledged Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated in 1996. So I just celebrated 25 years. So
Congratulations.
thank Thank you. Now, after college, I went on and I did do the MBA studies. I went to Thomas More College, which is right over the Cincinnati Bridge while I was
Mhm.
working. So it was like a grind like none other. I'm talking about you're going to work 40 hours and then you're also going to study right after you get out of school. So, I mean, out of work. So I did all that and I earned my master's of business administration. Straight from there, I went to work. First job, got that at Fidelity. And the one thing that I say is please, 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 while you're in school, if you can, do an internship, do an
Mhm.
externship, because that's the only way that you're going to get experience because these employers are wanting a certain amount of experience right out of college. And you're like, how am I going to do that? The only way to
Right.
do that is if you go and get you an internship, externship, or even if you I worked with Inroads before, and they were really helpful at finding those externships and internships. So,
Okay.
um, I have moved 3 or 4 times. So I have been to Detroit. I have been to Cincinnati. I've been to Madrid, and now I am here and enjoying the ride. So that's
Oh,
a little bit about me and
so
my.
let's talk about Madrid. How was that experience?
Oh, so listen, I went to Madrid. I don't know if you guys remember that subway bombing.
Hmm.
I was over there 2 weeks before that happened.
Oh, wow.
That subway was the same subway train that I took, and I used to use that to get to and from work. And that's when I worked for Chrysler. And let
Okay.
me tell you how I thank God when I had got back on U.S. soil. When that happened, I said, "Glory, hallelujah," because I was not on that train. And I said,
Yeah.
I knew when it was my time to leave. But Madrid is beautiful. A lot of hard work. Um, and let me tell you something about the Madrid people. They don't take it easy on you either. If you don't come over there speaking their language appropriately, don't come over there speaking Mexican Spanish. They're gonna rip you up. Look, I lost a lot of weight and I got a lot of followers because I'm telling you, walking the city was me. I'm just oblivious and looking around, and I got people observing me. Look, how you doing? But it was a blast. I mean, that was a really good trip for me. A lot of good project work over there. So
Okay. And you mentioned you went to Wilberforce University, and you had gave me a historic Black history fact. So tell us about Wilberforce University.
well, Wilberforce is the first historically Black college and university for us, run by us.
Oh,
So
wow.
the AME Church is the one that is supporting that HBCU right there. I'm gonna tell you,
Oh,
my time there, like I had the opportunity to go to Case Western, John Carroll, and I
mhm.
think I applied to several others. But Wilberforce University was the one school that I chose because I got a full ride, and I thought that having my own people around me would be best. And that was the best times of my life because I have formed some very strong bonds. I'm talking about I'm still friends with most of the people that I knew at Wilberforce. They're on my Facebook
Oh,
pages.
wow.
We have lifelong friendships.
Mhm.
We support each other. We have the alumni network here in the Atlanta metro area. We always go back every year to celebrate alumni weekend. So that's one of those bonds that I treasure. I got friends from 1994. As soon as I stepped on the college campus, I treasure those seriously.
Yeah, yeah. My daughter was at HBCU, and we were talking last night after I spoke with you, and she was talking about the experience that she's getting at the HBCU. She really doesn't think that she would have gotten that at her second choice, which was a PWI, and she
You
she said
won't.
she's really glad that she chose to go to the HBCU because it's an experience like none other. And she said it's kind of hard to explain it, but she says she just really feels that she made the right choice.
I would agree with her on that. Now, the mentoring and the coaching that you get from some of the teachers there, they really pour into you. They pour into
Yeah.
you things that you will not learn at, PWI, like you said. They're going to give
Mhm,
you their real life experiences because of the simple fact that there's things that they're not going to tell you in the corporate world that there is political red tape everywhere,
mhm,
especially for Black women. There
mhm.
is so much, I mean, red tape. How many deals are made on the golf course? I learned that from Jack Williams. He
Oh,
told
wow.
me about that. He said, you need to go take golf. I was like, why? That's boring. He was like, trust me, take golf. And let me tell you how many people be talking on the golf course and making deals.
Yeah, I've heard that. Now, did you pick up the sport?
I didn't pick it up completely, but I learned enough just to be on the golf course and know what
Yeah,
I'm talking about so I can hear. At least I
yeah.
can hear. I'm like, let me listen to this. Let me see. Oh, you guys making the deal. Oh, you promoted her on the golf course? Really? Oh, okay. Let me learn this talk.
Do you have a set of clubs?
No, you know what? That was like back in Cincinnati. Like I had a starter set and I left it. And I was like, okay, I'm on to something else now. Okay. It was just too much, to try to keep up with that on the golf course. And now it has evolved to now it is the dinners at each other's houses now.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But you're also very, very passionate about sports and fitness. And currently you are a soccer coach. So let's talk about that.
Okay, so yeah, I kind of picked this thing up being my son's soccer coach last year because they did not have enough volunteers. So for
Mm,
those who know me here in the metro area, I am huge in the kickball field. So like if you know anything about kickball here in the metro area, the all female league is aggressive. So I started off maybe I want to say that was like 5 years, no, oh, that was a long time ago. That was like 7 years ago when I had somebody tap me on the shoulder. So I was a part of Black Girls Run.
oh,
And
mhm.
Black Girls Run, and they, we're losing weight. We're out there, the camaraderie is great. They were like, hey, Katrina, we need you to come and be on this team. I'm like, sure, why not? Got out there and became a beast. They called me the Viking. I'm talking about even broke my hand on the field. So, I mean, I discovered that passion about sports and kickball. And then when they needed me to be a sub or be the volunteer for this soccer coach, I said,
Mhm.
yeah. And then I get to, spend some more time with my son. Why not? Found out I loved it.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something that I have something that most men coaches don't have. So, you got that mother instinct. And so
Yeah.
most men coaches, what they would be like, oh, catch a bubble. Oh, please do this. And you know what I did? I said, suck it up, buttercup. Get out there. You better run. And I was excited about it. And I had 4 and 6 year olds running the field. How did
Oh,
you? They were asking me, how did you do it? I didn't baby them.
yeah.
So it's become like one of my newest passions now, where I'm out there actively running with them. I'm running plays, and teaching them about being competitors. And the way to become a competitor, a true competitor, is through practice. The more you practice, the better you get. You have to shake that whining on my field, shake it off. I say,
Mhm.
suck it up, buttercup, or no lunching. That's my favorite thing. You out to lunch? And they everybody knows what I'm talking about when I say, are you out to lunch? Everybody says, oh, focus, because
Mhm.
they're what, 6 and 8 year olds, so of course they're gonna daydream. But that's
Yeah.
my passion. That is my passion now.
It's nothing like it. I had one time when my daughter was playing, I think she was playing the rec team,
Mhm.
and the coach couldn't be there. He asked his wife to sub, and she was terrified. So I told her, I said, I'll do it. And Damari looked at me like I was crazy. But we won, and so the parents came to me afterwards, and they said, I don't know which one was more exciting, watching you coach the kids or,
Yep.
or watching the kids. Because I tell you, I got in it, Katrina. I totally understand. It just overtakes you, and you just have so much fun with the children. I had a ball.
Yeah, this is fun. I look forward to it every Saturday morning. I'm on the field from anywhere from what, 8 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and
Yeah,
that's my days now.
yeah, and you're bonding with your son. It's just undescribable.
Yeah.
It's just a bond that he will always remember that mommy was there. You
Oh,
know.
listen. Even my oldest, I don't coach his team, but I'm like their biggest cheerleader. So I got
Uh-huh.
there late last week, and let me tell you something. Do you know that boy cried because I showed up 15 minutes late? I was like, are you crying? Oh my God, I'll never be late again. Never.
Let me ask you this: can you remember all the names of the children on the team? Because I used to get their names mixed up
Oh
all
my,
the time.
listen, I have nicknames for him. I have Julian, he's Twinkle Toes because he always takes these extra steps. I got Oliver, who's the most passionate. You would swear he's David Beckham. So I know Sarah. Sarah, she talks a lot. So I'm telling you, I know all of my people. And I got Ariel, we call her the princess in the castle. June, she's another princess. And then I have Braylon, I got Grayson. I know all of my kids' names because they all have nicknames in my head and I can remember everything that they do on the field. I pick that up and I try to hone in on that
Yeah.
strength. And
Mm-hmm.
I say, I put you in another place. So I know every last one of my kids. And I forgot about Jean and Amir. Amir is the biggest sixth grader you ever, not sixth grader, 6-year-old that you've ever seen in your life. He
Wow.
is 6 years old. He comes up to here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's big as my 11-year-old.
Wonder what they're feeding him.
Listen here. I looked at his father. I was like, "Oh, you're not super tall, so just a tall kid." And let me tell you that I hear so many stories. They're like, "He can't be 6." Oh, I'm like, "You better leave my baby alone. They are all my babies out there. Don't you talk about
Yeah,
me."
yeah, yeah, yeah. And those kids will always remember you, Katrina.
Yes.
They will
Yep.
always remember you.
And that's what
Now,
I love.
now that's you coaching. Now we also know those who follow you on Facebook that you are very intense with your own personal health. So
Yes.
let's talk about that. How did you when did that start? How did that start with you getting into your own personal health?
So I will say it first started when I moved here. So when I was in Detroit, it was all, you get cold, so you can't go outside.
Mhm.
So it's like you get the fluffy stage. And I got tired of going through that whole thing. So when I got here and this weather is beautiful, I discovered the park system here. And I
Uh-huh.
started out there. I couldn't run a mile at first. Let me tell you something. I was out there just kind of walk running. Then I got to eventually running. And then I got with a few trainers. And so I started learning the different techniques that some of the trainers were using. Some of them
Okay.
didn't work for me. And I started learning about my body. Now, Katrina's body, I'm solid. Most
Right.
people do not know I weigh 190 pounds, and you would never know it. I'm one of these solid chicks that when I lift heavy. My max on my legs is probably like 350 on the
Oh, wow.
leg press. I had to figure out my own that, yeah, Katrina, you can't do a whole bunch of cardio, and you cannot go, oh, I'm about to get these pink weights. They're only 5 pounds. No. So I started taking it serious as soon as I moved here, and it just became this thing where I kept up with it every year. Even while I
Mhm.
was pregnant, I found another group of women who were, hey, they're pregnant too. So I just found a network and tapped into that network. And then I just continued doing, hey, I found kickball. All right, now I got kickball. Now I see softball. All right, I'm out here. And it just became a passion that I just cannot let go. It
Yeah.
helps me with stress, especially with work, especially with my children, especially when you're dating. So I'm gonna get out here and I'm gonna release this stress. So you will find that post every day. And I think I started that like last year during COVID, just to help myself become like my own accountability, because now you can't work out with a group of people. So
Right.
I post that. And do you know how many people have said that that motivated them? And I'm doing it for myself because I'm trying to get through COVID.
Right.
Everybody said, Katrina, you have inspired me. And I am thinking I'm being a little old ordinary Katrina, calling herself out and holding herself, accountable. And I'm being extraordinary to somebody else.
Yeah, and you just never know who's watching. We talk about that a couple of times on the show. Our producer said, you always get more views than likes.
Yeah.
So yeah, you never know who's watching, and it is inspiring. And I just want to say that it is inspiring to me also. So yes, I can understand how those people have come back and told you that. It really is, and
And
it's not overboard. What you post is not overboard. It's to me, it's just enough
yeah.
to say, hey, I did a spin class today. I
Yeah.
think that was one that was recent.
Yes.
Come on, just do something.
Yeah.
So, I really appreciate that.
Thank you. I'm trying to keep myself accountable because it's like if I don't post it, I'm like, I didn't post that. Let me get to doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. So you also told me that you ran half marathon races. Let's talk about that.
Oh my God, that's how I first started into this workout thing. Black Girls Run was my like catalyst into the running the half a marathons. Now, last year I think I did. This was like my most intense. I did two half a marathons in the same in 1 week,
Wow.
and so that's you might as well call that a marathon, right? I did. It was not that bad, I'm gonna say, because it was like I had some great music, and then the scenery was just so awesome. And I
Hmm.
have all of those medals. And you know what? I had that little there was like a little hanger that I hung up all my medals on. Eventually, it got so heavy it kind of broke down. So now I just have them in this little. I have them in this little cube that I need to find another hanger so I can hang all my medals on.
Well, congratulations. When was the last one you ran?
That last one was before COVID. It was right before COVID. It was oh my God, what was the name of that one? But it was out of Mableton, and it was a very
Mhm.
flat. It was a very flat one, but it was kind of like, yeah, I think this is it. After I did them two, I was like, yeah, girl, your knees ain't made like they used to be. Like my knees, I have all kind of look. When you get to your 40s, you're not as flexible. Your knees hurt. You start. Yeah, I'm not doing that no more.
But yeah, I'm gonna have to try that. I'm gonna have to get my endurance up and maybe try one of them small ones, one
Five
small
k,
5K.
5K. Yeah,
Yeah,
try the 5K. That's it. That's all you need. Mm-mm.
that's
Don't,
it.
yeah, don't be like me. Don't be like me.
Well, again, that's inspiring. So yeah, just keep posting, please.
Will do. Will do.
Okay, so currently you're in the financial services industry.
So let me
So
let me
let's talk about how you tapped into that career.
Okay, so my official title is Sales Operations Director. I
Mhm.
also lead the financial planning and analytics function with my company. The
Okay.
company is called Morena Group, and Morena Group is they're international, but they produce post-surgical compression garments. So for anyone that's looking to go get that little plastic surgery and you want to get a little snip tuck, I highly recommend you do not skimp on that garment, because
Mm,
why would you invest in the surgery but you don't invest in the garment? The garment is meant to shape you and to keep you in place and to keep that blood circulating so that you won't clot up. Most people go out here and oh, I'm gonna just get a sports bra. No, you need the proper garment, and that's what Morena Group does. And they also have a small sport line as well as shapewear, but they make the bulk of their money from post surgical compression garments.
wow, I didn't. Okay, I'm learning a lot.
Yes, and guess what? It's right in Lawrenceville. A lot of people don't know that they stitched this. I actually went into the production facility, and there are maybe 40 to 50 people sewing them on singers, just sewing them. Take them 2 minutes to produce a garment. Never seen it that fast in my life. 2 minutes. Never seen that in my life. I'm talking about they'll have all the pieces sectioned and you see them. I mean, working.
Now, how did you find that company?
So they actually found me.
Oh,
Yeah, so I was working for Kimberly Clark, and Kimberly Clark is a huge marketing machine, right? So they also they're consumer goods. So I
mhm,
was there for like 8 years. So when you're there for about 8 years, you're kind of looking for a change. And I was doing something similar. It was more sales operations, account based type of analytics, and they kind of tapped me on my shoulder. I'm glad I took this position because it allowed me to see everything within a company. Where if you're at
yes.
a larger company, you're going to be in your small little cubicle. You're going to do your small little work, and that's it. I actually had a chance to touch the entire company with Morena Group. I'm talking about from all the international people know me. They're constantly calling me. I produce all kind of commissions, paychecks. I process
Mhm.
those. I do analytics on products, which products we should expire, which new products we should invest in. Like we just did face masks when COVID happened. And when COVID
Okay.
happened, we had to shut down. So it was like, what do we do with all this fabric? We did a
Uh-huh.
quick pivot and we started making face masks. So
Mhm.
within that small time frame, they sold what over $9 million in face masks because we were the first to pivot and sell all of that fabric off. A lot of people tried to get on board afterwards, which highly saturated the market. Well, we
Yes.
got in and we struck while the fire was hot, sold our quick 9 million, and then we were able to get right back into post surgical compression garments.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that's impressive.
Yeah, and I was able to see all of that. Like, if I was at Kimberly Clark, I would have never seen this type
Mhm.
of investment and quick thinking because it would have had to go through so many different approval levels through
Mhm.
that red tape there. This was like quickly, they did it, boom. And next thing you know, they were making face masks.
Yeah, they seized the opportunity.
Absolutely. A lot of people should have really been doing that. A lot of people that had, that skill, I've seen a lot of people doing that during COVID times.
Yeah, yeah, and I saw, on the news and on social media, a lot of people, retired people use their skill of being able to sew and donate at mass. But that's awesome that company was able to pivot so quickly
Yes,
and be able to take advantage of that opportunity. And that's knowledge that no one can take away from you.
absolutely.
Um, yeah, I tell everybody that knowledge is power, but applied knowledge brings transformation. So that knowledge that you were able to gain when you saw that process, that's something that people can never take away from you. And you can actually apply that knowledge down the road, if you see fit or if the opportunity comes for you to apply it. That's awesome. I'm learning more about you. This is a good interview. You probably quarterly, and you got me on the kickball. I was like,
A lot of people
you
don't know that.
all right. So we're right at the topic of what I wanted to talk about. January 31st, you posted a Hello Chapter 45 post, and you shared with the world about your transformation and how that birthday was very significant for you. So let's discuss your journey. Let's take the viewers on your journey. What was the one event that may have started you on your journey? And then we'll go through the different processes to get you to where you are today.
Now, everyone has that one thing in their life that just says, boop, and stops you right in your tracks.
Mhm.
Mine was my divorce. After 15 years of marriage in 2016, I hit a brick wall.
Mhm.
My whole world that I knew, family life, it was just gone. And I had to quickly figure out, okay, Katrina, what's your next move?
Right.
Katrina didn't know her next move because I was a wife. I mean, I took that seriously. When I say I was the wife of the year, I was the mother of the year. But I thought I was the wife of the year. Clearly
Yeah.
clearly that wasn't it. But I was trying to be the mother of the year, trying to be the sister of the year. And when that happened, I was like, well, shoot, hold on. Well, who's Katrina the woman? All right, well, let me try to get through this divorce first and trying to
Right.
co-parent this man. Because let me tell you something, when you look at some of the times you split, and it doesn't seem like it's bad, but then when you start looking at that person and you kind of, hmm, I thought you
Mhm.
were something else. And no, he wasn't. Let me tell you, I had to go and sign up for some counseling. First, I started with the church, which was I'm going to say it was awkward because we belonged to the same church.
Okay.
How do you go and face the church family that you become a part of as a couple to ask for singles counseling now or divorce, counseling?
Right.
The shame of it all. I
Yeah.
experienced shame, fear of what was gonna, what my kids were gonna have to go through, and I went through a little bit of depression for about a year. So I signed up for like a 12-week session with my counselor to talk about those different feelings because I was bitter. Now there was a cause for that divorce, right? And a lot of women, we go through a lot and we don't talk about it, and some of the times we should, and that reason for me going to a counselor is I did not want to get my family involved because
Oh.
they knew him too. We had been together for a total combined 25 years,
Mhm.
married for 15. So the families were all intermingled and stuff, so I didn't really want to go and be talking to my family. It was bad enough that I had to deal with this, and it's very public anyway. So I went and seen that counselor, and she had me doing some very good work on myself. I discovered that I was depressed. My self-esteem was like so low. I couldn't
Mhm.
even hold my head. Like I didn't realize that in my marriage that in order to here's my people pleasing. In
Okay.
order to make him happy, I will hold my head down when men would walk around because he had said, your face is too inviting. So in order for me to make him happy, my head was held down. I didn't
Mm.
realize I was doing that.
Right.
Man, she made me go out. She said, "Here's your homework. I need you to go to the I want you to go to the restaurant by yourself and eat at
Oh.
the table by yourself." Okay.
Hard.
That was very hard, right? So
Yeah.
I had several assignments where she made me go and do things by myself to learn myself. And I discovered that I enjoyed being by myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was extremely hard. That was very, very hard. And you going through that, you sitting in that valley and you're looking at everything. And I blamed her for a lot of stuff. And guess what? I looked into my mirror and Katrina was the cause of a lot of that too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like you said, it's when you're in it, you're trying to do the best that you can, when you're a wife, based on what you've been taught, what you've seen, and everybody's definition of a good wife is different, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Um, but then you end up finding out that not only did you kind of lose part of yourself, there's a part of yourself you didn't even discover that you thought you lose. You didn't even know you
Right.
had, you know.
Right.
And I can really relate about doing things by yourself because when I shared with you that when I got a divorce, that was my big challenge, trying to do things by myself. And I wasn't going to church. My cousin was in the choir, and I would not go to church by myself. I wouldn't go out to eat by myself. And that's a pivotal point to say, what, I can't I can't function by myself, and you don't even realize it.
Yes.
You don't even realize it.
Hmm.
Wow. So I'm sure I know that first step of you just going to lunch by yourself was hard.
Oh, that was, let me tell you something. That was so hard. And I'm looking around and people, I didn't realize that my presence
Mhm.
invited a lot, like people would naturally just speak to me and me. That was
Yeah.
my next step, that I had to walk and hold my head up and
Wow.
speak back. And she said, even if you don't say anything, smile.
Hmm.
And I was like, when I smiled, just walking in smiling, everybody around me smiled.
Yeah.
Like, and I thought to myself, I said, man, he tried to dull my sunshine. Let me go ahead and keep smiling. Like, this is something else. Let me share this. And I kept
Hmm.
doing it. That's why now when you see me, you see Katrina mostly smiling all the
Yes,
time.
that's true.
I'm
That's true.
smiling.
That's true.
And I
And
trained myself that way.
did you realize the power of your smile?
Yes, that
Yeah.
power of that smile could brighten other people's day. Like if somebody walked in and they're having a bad day and you're just sitting there and you're smiling, it's infectious. Other
Hmm.
people want to smile just because you smiling. So I got used to eating dinner and eating lunch by myself and sitting there smiling, or even sitting at the bar. I've had people just send me a drink and said thank you for smiling.
Oh, wow.
I was like, well, look at this. Come on, Miss Smile.
I'm telling you, it's powerful.
It
It's
is. It is a
powerful.
very powerful thing.
I'm
I
gonna
love
tell you another thing. You know how when people walk by you, I'm gonna take this another thing. I'm gonna interject right quick. So you know how when people walk by you and they look you in the eye, they won't say anything.
Oh, I
So
hate that.
that used to really bother me. So I end up, you like you said, through talking to people, I came up with this thing that when people make eye contact with me, I make sure I speak to them. And I noticed that it forces them, when even though they don't want to, it forces them to speak back.
Yeah, it
Isn't
does.
that
It
something?
does. It does.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that was awesome. I was like, well, wait a minute. Why am I getting upset because he didn't speak or she didn't speak? I said, oh, watch this. They look me dead in the eye and I say, good morning, how are you? And good morning. And I just laugh all the time. And what I realized is the power that I had,
Yes,
the,
absolutely.
the, the subtle power that I had. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so share with us some other things that the counselor had you do to get you out of your shell.
So she had me, okay, of course, going out by myself. She
Hmm.
also, so at this time, I had taken on the president's role of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated in Gwinnett chapter. Gwinnett County. So the one thing she told me that I was doing, she said, you're using this as a constructive, like it's a constructive distraction.
Oh, okay.
It's constructive distraction. But when I tell you I was pouring so much, it was good work. However, she did warn me, just because this is a constructive distraction, you're still going to have to deal with yourself after the fact. So
Mm.
on those summertime, like during the summer, I was like, okay, well, what else do I have to do? Because we're off in the summer.
Right.
Man, I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, I got to do something else, trying to busy myself. And then that's when she was like, nope, you're gonna have to sit and deal with this now. So she made me go on
Mm.
my first vacation by myself, like go to the beach.
Oh, yeah.
You go to the beach by yourself, that's not very fun. That's not very fun. But
Mm-mm.
let me tell you, when I went to the beach by myself and I laid on the beach, nobody else was there. Not even my kids for that moment. I was like,
Yeah.
now this is something else right here. I could do this. And
Mm-hmm.
reading, it was so quiet. I actually enjoyed it because it was
Mm-hmm.
different steps. She said dinner, you're going to do dinner, you're going to do the movies, even go out to the club by yourself. And when she said a vacation by yourself, I was like, you want to clutch your pearls because it's frightening. But when you actually do, I just went on the drive and I just went to the beach by myself, and it was really good. It was a good thing that I didn't even know I needed. So that
Yeah.
was like the last step of that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, okay, I think you're ready for dating after I did all of that.
Okay.
Listen, dating is it was interesting. I'm gonna just tell you, dating is interesting. It's new. After being married for
Yeah.
years, being
Mm-hmm.
introduced into the dating world, I'm gonna just say it's different, and it's a whole
Oh,
nother
yeah.
of dating. And so I went on my first few dates and reported back to her, and I was like, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Like I had some horrible first dates. Like, what is this? Like, what, they don't have any conversation.
Mm-mm. It's totally different. The 2020 2021 dating is not like the 89, 90, 2000. Right? It's
Yep.
totally different.
Totally different. I had to navigate dating again. So she made me go through all that by myself before I actually started the dating.
Okay.
So it's yeah, that dating is interesting. It's still interesting. You gotta weed yourself through it. But I'm gonna tell you what I did though. I came up with my own process. My
Okay.
process is this: if we're talking on the phone and you can't hold a conversation with me through phone, then you don't get the first date.
Okay.
You can't hold a conversation on the phone. If you're gonna text me to death, then that's I'll eliminate. Boof. Now,
Right. Yeah.
if you can hold a conversation, then let's go for coffee or let's go for lunch. If you make it past that, then we're gonna go to dinner. Because it's different. You see Katrina in the different settings, and it's
Mm-hmm.
different conversation. It's definitely different conversation.
And same for them. You see them differently
Oh yeah.
in different settings.
Yep, and they weed themselves out every single time. I'm gonna tell you because it's something that happened, and you pay attention. By me being by myself with and going through all those different steps, you start listening to your intuition. That's one thing that I did to
Mhm.
myself is I stopped listening to my intuition, and now I'm much more in tune to it. God gave us that for a reason, and if you
Yep.
don't know their intuition, I highly suggest you get in your Bible and get in tune to your women's intuition that God gave us, and start listening.
Yeah. But the key that you said, and I wrote it down, is the constructive distractions, right? Because I learned that the key to tapping into your women's intuition is being still.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when she sent you to the beach and nobody was on it,
Yeah.
Katrina had to be still.
Had to be still.
Right. And those constructive distractions, it hinders you from that growth.
Yes, it does. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It does. And you can't. The problem is turning stuff off.
Yes.
Women, we think of everything else that we need to do because we're multitaskers. We're moms. We're wearing so many different hats. During that beach vacation, I had to take my cape off.
Yeah.
Take your
Yeah.
cape off, and now nobody can save you from getting to the root of it and seeing who you really are. But I'm gonna say that was a beautiful discovery because I
Hmm.
cried I did cry on that vacation. Oh, I cried. I cried. Oh, I cried. I cried on that vacation. And I don't even listen. I don't even talk about it either. I don't feel the need to tell everybody, but I'm telling everybody now. But on
Right.
the beach, I tell you, when I was in a hotel room by myself, this was me. Like, there's nobody here. I cried my eyes out. I cried my eyes out. And it was a needed cry because I had so many things distracting me from that. And that was when I had realized that that girl Katrina was still there. Trina was
Right.
still there, and I had to talk to her and tell her, you're beautiful. You are
Hmm.
beautiful. And then the next day when I strutted on that beach again, I had a whole different walk. I'm gonna tell you. I walked out there like, oh, yes, I'm doing this. And so it took 2 to 3 days on the beach by myself to really, really discover that.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So, when you were going through your divorce, you had the children. Did you feel that you had to kick it into gear, shift it into another gear? And so it kind of it doesn't leave room for you to feel or to really deal emotionally what you're going through because you have the children, right? So
Absolutely.
you have to kick it into gear because you got to think about them. It's not about you, it's about them. So I'm sure that when you got on that beach, you could just put it in park, and
Yes.
now all those emotions, just came out, you know?
Yes. Yes. I had to worry because you have to go through all the counseling for your kids to make sure that the
Mhm,
co-parenting is going to work. You had to make sure that their environment was as intact as it was going to be. They're
mhm.
missing their dad. You're hearing them, ask questions. And, they do ask questions. Those questions are hard, very
Yeah.
hard. And going between the different houses. So you're so focused on them that you put yourself on the back burner.
Mhm,
You put yourself on the back burner and you just go into an autopilot. That's what I call it, the
mhm. Yeah,
autopilot.
autopilot. Yeah,
You go
that's
into
good.
autopilot and you
Mhm,
just start getting it done because it's about them kids. And I had at the time, man, my youngest was like only 18 months. He was a baby.
mhm.
I had to listen here. Let me shake this off. I know you hurt, girl, but you better put on them big girl panties and get to it. And I held my head up high, and I went about my business. But I had to go to a counselor. I had to. I don't even know why we as an African American community frown upon counseling.
Right.
It's needed, and everything is not in the church. Church can help, but you need
Mhm.
a professional. God created these professionals to help talk you through this and to help give you insight that you wouldn't have thought about.
Right. Yeah. And I'm gonna say this is gonna make you laugh,
Okay.
but when you're going through sometimes and you're so upset about what's going on, how you were treated, the word, right? And sometimes that's not what you want to hear.
Exactly. You do not. I promise you, I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear that.
Not saying it might not be true, but
Mhm.
at that time you do.
At that time, I couldn't. It was like the shame.
Ooh,
The shame. You feel
yeah.
ashamed. And I think that shame and fear will hold you
Yes.
hostage from
Mm,
getting to the healing point. Once you get over that shame and once you get over that fear of the unknown, that's when you really get to self discovery. Shame, I feel like the enemy uses that in such a devastating way to hold us hostage in our own
mm,
in that mess.
mhm.
Once you take the shame off, you stop thinking about what other people thinking about you or what they have thought about you. You're gonna push forward, and that globe is gonna be so real.
So let me ask you this. Was there a situation where once you started going through the divorce, you had to shed some people?
Oh God, yes.
Let's talk about that.
I had to shed some people, some family members too, and that
Yeah.
was a mess. So, going through the divorce, I stayed in the marital property for about a year.
Hmm.
When I decided to buy my new home, some of my some of my people, my own family members, were like, well, "How did she get that? She didn't need a bigger house. She could have stayed there." And I found out they were simply jealous. They didn't realize that this was Katrina at work. And I'm like, "What? I have to move out of the old marital house. What are you talking
Right.
about?" They had so much to say about him. Oh, I
Mm,
never liked him anyway. Why are you sharing this now? I don't care.
Right.
Why are you
Right.
bringing all this up now? When I heard all of that negativity and stuff, Katrina just fell back. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I hadn't been home to Cleveland in like 4 years. My first time back was what, just this past couple of weeks. I didn't want to hear it. I did not
Right.
want to hear. I didn't want to hear the negativity. I didn't want to hear how they didn't like him from the beginning. I didn't want to hear how, oh, Katrina, you changed when you got with him. Well, when you get married, aren't you supposed to change? When you change for your man, Jesus, gosh, and it was just so critical. People looking at
Yeah.
you go through this, you're already broken, and then here they come on to break you some more. Really?
Right.
Let me get you all the way together. And then I just fell all the way back, and then they didn't see me no more. Then they see Katrina like, oh, she's glowing on Facebook. Oh, really? You don't get none of this shine, boo. Get up out of here. And that's
Right.
exactly how I kept them. Kept them at arm's length. You got to love them from afar. It was really bad criticism that I just did not care to hear.
Wow. And it's always the ones that are closest to you. I'm gonna share this with you. When I was going through my divorce, I only God led 3 people to walk with me. And so one of the young ladies did what you were talking about. She would call me and she would badmouth the ex. And I'm like, at the time when we're going through, that's not what we need to hear,
Mm-mm.
right? And I had told her, I had to cut her off because I told her, I said, I was married to him, you weren't. So if anybody can talk bad about him, it's me. And if you're supposed to be there for me, you need to be encouraging me. Why are you talking bad about him? So I had to end up cutting her off because what I learned through that situation is you have to protect when you're going through, you have to protect your eyes and
Yes.
your ears. You
Yes.
have to you have to protect your environment, right? Because people are part of their environment. And there was no way I was going to get through that if I constantly had negative people in my ear. So just like you, I had to change, I changed my physical environment, but I had to change the people that were around me. And you have to be tough enough to I told Trey, I told Trey this, and we were talking about not divorce or nothing like that, but we were just talking about growth in general. And I told him this, Katrina, I said, you have to let go to grow.
Yes.
It's just like pruning a tree. You
Yes.
have to let go to grow. And not only let go of people, but you have to let go of that old mindset, right? And that old way of thinking, such that you had to go to the beach.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Indeed. You have to go to that beach.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm so glad that you spoke about the importance of getting counseling. It is taboo in our culture,
It is.
and but it's well needed. It's well needed. Um, so, how has your transformation affected your family and your work?
So I will say how it has affected my family. I'm gonna say my boys are really, like, my home is so peaceful now. Like if you
Mm,
walk into my home, it is, you can feel the warmth. You're
mm,
so settled, and that's exactly how I wanted my home.
right.
Everyone else in my family, they could see Katrina's smiling.
Mhm,
I regularly talk to my dad. Like I had shut him out for a while too, not for anything other than me being ashamed. But that was a hard time in my life, and he couldn't fully understand that. But now, when I
mhm.
say we're well on a better like relationship than we've ever been,
That's good.
um, my family members are looking at me and saying, Katrina's in a good place. They could see that good
Mhm.
place at work. I'm actually bringing my authentic self to work now. Now that's a big thing with this code switch, and I'm telling you, we have had to code switch, and you can't use too much slang at work. And man,
Mhm.
I took the whole wall down and just said, I'm coming in, and here's all of Katrina. And so I have certain people I form like bonds with, and I haven't had bonds in quite a long time. So it's actually going very well at work.
That's good. That's good. So if a person wants to start on their journey of self-discovery, what are some key crucial first steps that you would advise them to take?
I would say the first thing, just thinking, because I'm a financial mind,
Right. Mhm.
look and see if you have an EAP program at your job, because that's going to give
Yeah.
you free EAP. Yeah. It's called Employee Assistance Program.
Okay.
That's going to give you access to free counseling sessions. I
Mhm.
used that, and they gave us, like, Kimberly Clark was very, very generous with theirs. They will give you 6 a year. And so I signed up for the maximum. So I kept going, and it was like she she worked with me on paying it. So like it can be expensive, but if you check that first, you're in.
Okay.
Then there's also like discounted like psychiatrists as well, because everything is virtual now. You
Right.
can definitely, like, this more affordable now more than ever. You can get virtual sessions now.
Okay.
And if you're particular about going to like a black doctor, there, man, that network is so big now. And I've had people in my network on Facebook. There's life coaches. There's more people
Mhm.
now than ever. They have black I don't even know if it's called psychiatry anymore. It's like they call it life coach. They
Uh-huh.
also have different podcasts. You can start on a podcast concerning a particular topic, because I have a
Okay.
lot of women in my group now. Like, so my one friend Ursula, she started her podcast, and it's called Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. And she invites professionals on her show to talk about particular topics. And then when
Mm.
you start there, they offer their number there. So you can get a whole counseling session for free in a group setting, ask your
Yeah.
questions. And it's just like a girlfriend chat. You're just talking, but it's men in there too. So we're having a whole discussion about different topics. But that professional is offering that for free. And then they offer their number. And then that way, hey, they don't know who's getting this help. They can just need 1 or 2 sessions. And now you got a free session right there.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. For those who are working, still are employed,
Mm-hmm.
try EPA. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Full time, the services that your company offers,
Yep.
like you said, start there. That's awesome. Yes.
Yeah. And that's underutilized too. You don't know how many people don't know
Yeah.
about it. It's a lot of stuff. You can get counseling for your children. They help you, moving assistance, help you find daycare for your children. I use that EAP for everything.
So you're gonna max it.
I did. I did, Max. It was free service. I said, free. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So how does a person release their inner power? Because that's one of the things that you discovered it and then
Mhm.
you released it. So how do you think people, what could they do to release their inner power?
So, how can I say this? First, you need to let go of the shame, the
Mm.
fear. Let go all your inhibitions first. Let those go, because that's what's holding you back. And give yourself some grace and mercy. We are our own worst critics.
Hmm.
For me, I am. I be tearing myself up in my head, like, girl, why you say that wrong? Girl, you heard that slang come out your mouth. Give yourself some grace and mercy, because we are human.
Hmm.
And to realize that you're imperfect, but you're perfect at this point in time.
Right.
And just get in tune. First, start with some meditation. Get in a quiet room, silence your mind, and meditate on something. And like, you can just meditate on your favorite Bible scripture. You can meditate on like an affirmation. You can meditate on just having some chimes or some music, and just quiet your mind. I feel like once you quiet your mind, because the mind is so powerful. People do not realize it still catches me up on a daily basis. I promise you it does. Once you silence your mind, that is the key to really unleashing your full potential, with just silencing your mind and listen to what God has to say. Listen, because then you're going to have a clear connection once you silence your mind, and God's going to give you the next steps that you need to take. And
Right.
that's how I feel.
When you go to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I've never been, I've just seen the movies. Um, the first step in Alcoholics Anonymous
Mhm.
is admitting that you're an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And then the steps start from there.
Yep.
And I think that in order for you to start this journey of self-discovery, you have to stop kidding yourself
Yep.
and really deal with that man and that woman in the mirror,
Mm-hmm.
because it all starts with you. You
Yeah.
know, I was in church one day, and the pastor at the time said that if you do not like If you look at your life today and you do not like what your life has turned out to be, understand that you spoke it. And if you want to change it,
Yep,
you have to start speaking something different. So we
absolutely.
know that this is connected to this, right? Whatever man thinketh, so is he. So whatever you think, you're going to speak, right? And he said you spoke it. And I think a lot of times, like especially when you were saying how family members were, coming at you, talking about you, and really, I believe that what they saw is they saw you doing something that they wish that they could have done, which is probably either leave or find yourself or whatever. And instead of, and especially women, and instead of us celebrating
Yes.
the woman for having the courage or even asking her, Katrina, I see that you're really going through. Katrina, I've seen that, you've really come through this situation. How did you do it? We don't do that.
Mm-mm.
We want to beat her down. We want to talk bad about her, right?
Mm.
So let's talk just a little bit about that because, a lot of times it's hard for some people to even, some women to compliment another woman, right? Because I think they see in that woman, which they wish it could be in them, but what they realize is that you do the same thing. Everybody can do the same thing that you've done, but do you have the courage to do it? So let's talk a little bit about that.
Man, you do not realize. Oh, listen, when I say the amount of criticism that I had got, just by being divorced, because in the church you're not supposed to divorce. It's
Mm-hmm.
unholy. Oh, Katrina, you know what? The devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. My aunt told me that. I was like, say what? You said the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. Why would you ever say that to somebody? Like, I don't want the devil, right? I don't want the devil at all. It
Mm-hmm.
was so discouraging. And when I started going on these trips by myself and start doing things by myself, you know what I had to start doing? I had to stop showing them for a moment. I had to move like a ninja. And so when I started doing stuff, okay, you don't know what I'm doing, so guess what?
Can't
I'm
come
just gonna,
comment on it.
you can't comment on it. And
That's
then I call those dream killers. It's like I'm trying
right.
to get to this point of my self-awareness. And if I post it, you're gonna automatically criticize me. You shouldn't have did it this way. Well, I wouldn't have went to no counselor because I think, them counselors are just human too. How they gonna tell you should have been more into that church? I told you. Man, okay,
Yeah.
forget about it. I shut my mouth. I started making my moves and I started doing it and I just started letting it shine from the outside. And once they
Mm-hmm.
started seeing that, then I shared it. We talk too much sometimes. It's like you have a dream and now you're about to abort your dream because you don't tell somebody your dream and they're going to help you abort your dream. Stop. Be
Yeah.
quiet. Sit in that moment and allow God to instruct you fully on what your dream should be before you go sharing it with everybody. Because then you're going to get all that
Amen.
influence and now your dream is aborted. And that could have been something, a beautiful baby too. And you don't sit up there and let them abort your dream. I
Yeah.
just started shutting my mouth and I just started moving in silence. And then I'll just post a random picture. They're like, oh, Katrina
Mm-hmm.
got that glow. I sure do. Mm-hmm. And I would just, my head would be held high. And I'm doing something else to improve upon things. So it's
Right.
a lot of things that has happened in this almost 5 years. And I didn't share with everybody because everybody
Right.
doesn't get to know it. And
Right. Yeah.
that is just going to allow for the construct. I mean, for the, it's not even constructive, it's damaging. I'm going to call it damaging. Damaging
Uh-huh.
feedback. And that's where I just don't tell. I don't tell
Right.
anything. I have a close circle, but some of my close circle I didn't even tell either.
Oh wow.
I,
Yeah.
I just did it because you know what God told you. You know what God told you to do, and
Yeah.
you
You,
go
yeah.
do it. And stop seeking confirmation from ungodly people.
That's right. That's right. Come on. Come on. You girl, for real. I got it down. Move like a ninja. I
Move
got it.
like a ninja. Yep, I show him. Listen, that's the best thing. Hey, I show up and they see something different. Like, ooh,
Well, before we end, we're going to talk about that photo shoot.
okay.
That photo shoot was absolutely beautiful. And when I read the comment that you left on that post, I immediately called you that morning. I was in tears because didn't know your full journey. We only know people one dimensionally, but I could feel when I read every word of that post, I could feel what you were feeling.
Yeah.
Tell us how important it was for you to celebrate that moment. How important was that for you?
I had planned that moment for about, I want to say about a good 6 months. And I had to interview different photographers because I knew exactly what I wanted. But this leading up to this 45, I just felt different.
Yeah.
I felt so aware of myself, so sure, so confident. And I wanted a photographer that was going to capture that. So I
Okay.
chose my frat brother, Antoine.
Okay.
Said, okay, here's what my vision is. He was like, okay, so I shared my vision with him. He said, I got the props for you. Boom. I found a few dresses. I had someone help me pick out a dress. He was like, that one's you. I said, okay, bought that mug. That's the one I'm wearing. And I had another dress. I needed it to be absolutely perfect. So it took me 5 to 6 months of planning. But it only took 1 hour, but in that hour, I have over 1,000 images. I
Wow.
I had a ball. I'm talking about I changed clothes 3 times, but when I tell you the sheer joy that I felt in taking those pictures, I didn't know how they were going to come out, but all I
Hmm.
know is I had a ball. I mean, I had. So a lot of people don't know too. I listen to some hip hop. One of my favorite artists is Kevin Gates. Oh
Hmm.
my God, y'all would never know that I listened to Kevin Gates, but that's what was playing, and I felt all of that energy, and it was like that day was just my day, and I just let it go in those pictures, and you could see every
Yeah.
emotion in those pictures, and it was like I finally got to this moment where I
Yeah.
loved all of me, no shame, no fear, just Katrina. And I'm telling you, that's everything on everything I love right there.
But you celebrated you, and I am, we're at the end of the interview, and I didn't give the viewers any time to ask any questions. So this is what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Katrina's information has been running through the ticker tape at the bottom. And I'm sure that she would love to hear from you. Reach out to Katrina if you have any questions, if you want to just congratulate her on her journey of her reaching where she is now and celebrating herself. Just reach out to her. We got to learn how to encourage each other. Katrina, don't go anywhere. But I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your journey. You have inspired me. And by you coming on this show to share your testimony and share your journey with us, you have inspired so many people. This is going to be a living video, and it's going to continue to inspire people. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for saying yes.
Oh, you gotta
Thank
make
you.
thank you.
So this is
Oh,
not the end. I'm gonna get you back on here and some other avenues to share to continue to share because people need to hear what you have to say. They really do.
thank
And
you.
you look just as beautiful outside as I know you feel inside. And
Thank
congratulations.
thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you.
Everybody, this is Tina Dawson with True Blue Designs, and I just want to thank you so much for tuning in tonight. And we will see you next week, same time, same place. Good night. Stay right there, Katrina. Good night.